Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Daniel and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that all of your beautiful, smiling faces are here today. I do believe that it's only proper for me to wish you all a very happy new year. And as we're bringing in the new year, as 2022 is starting strong, in today's very special video, I'm going to be showing all of you all of the books that I'm planning on reading in 2022. So my entire Christmas list was basically books, and more books. As the years rolled around, I've been furiously, aggressively searching for more books to read. I've been finding different topics that I've been developing a growing interest in, and these books definitely reflect that. If you haven't noticed, with all of these book reviews, you're pretty much following my own personal learning journey. As I get more interested in specific topics, I talk more about books related to those topics. And so I just wanted to say thank you all for being with me through this last year as I've started this channel and as I've been talking about the books that have been helping me grow and to learn more and more. So as I said, we're going to roll right into this video talking about all the books that I've gotten so far that I plan on reading in 2022. Now, this is not a perfectly comprehensive list. Am I going to buy more books? Absolutely, because I have a problem. I can't stop buying books. Will I read every single one of these books? Now, with this collection that I have right here, I am fairly certain that I will get to the end of this collection, but are there going to be more books that I buy that are going to end up collecting dust on the shelf? Probably. But before I dive in, I want to give you a look at what topics these books are mostly about. Of course, I am reading more C.S. Lewis in 2022. For those of you that have enjoyed me reviewing his collection and talking about some of his series that he has, I'm going to be reading more C.S. Lewis, so stay excited. One topic that's definitely dominating this pile of books in front of me is faith and Christianity. I definitely plan on reading more biographies. I definitely plan on reading more C.S. Lewis, as I already said, and more books that are God-focused, Christian-focused, whether it's a self-help book or something much deeper than that. And then also the topic of apologetics. Apologetics is a topic that I've been interested in reading about for many years, and there's no reason why that's going to slow down in 2022. And then I do have several more books that are more in the political realm, and so far I only have one work of fiction in my list of books to read in 2022. That might increase as authors put out more books this year, but just stick with me, keep watching my videos, and we'll find out. So let's dive into this video and let's see what books I'm reading in 2022. So to stick with last year's trend, I'm going to start out introducing all the books by C.S. Lewis that I plan on reading this year. The first book I'll introduce is Surprised by Joy by C.S. Lewis. This is a book that I was told is a must-read. It's kind of about C.S. Lewis's coming to faith. I'm sure that it's a lot more complex than that, but it's definitely in his collection. It's definitely a must-read, and this is going to be one of the books I'm more excited to read in 2022. Another C.S. Lewis book that I'm going to be reading in 2022 that I've already gotten a jump start on and I can tell you is absolutely fabulous is The Weight of Glory. Now, The Weight of Glory is just like one short sermon. So this is actually a collection of sermons and letters by C.S. Lewis. So it's not just one simple book, it's a collection of writings that he's done. And so I'm very excited to read The Weight of Glory by C.S. Lewis. Now, the third C.S. Lewis book that I'm going to be reading in 2022 is the only fiction book in this entire collection. It is a part of the Silent Planet series. I have tried to read this book before, and I found it immensely difficult. I was told to try again. I was told this book is probably the best out of the entire series, that it is a must-read, and this book is That Hideous Strength by C.S. Lewis. So once I actually get around to reading this and finishing up, I will absolutely love to let you know if it was great, if I changed my mind about it, or if I still thought that it was really hard to read. Now, an author that caught my attention in 2021 is John Eldredge, and I ended up getting a few of his books, and one of them was actually written by his wife, Stacey Eldredge. And the first book by John Eldredge that I'm reading in 2022 is Wild at Heart. This book is all about discovering the secret of a man's soul, and it really talks about what true godly masculinity is about. What is a man's purpose? What does it look like to be manly? And I think this is a subject that is so poorly understood in our culture today. I think that manhood is pretty much falling apart, is being attacked and destroyed on a daily basis. And so I'm absolutely going to take the time to soak up the wise words of John Eldredge in Wild at Heart. Now, the mirror to that book is Captivating by John Eldredge and Stasi Eldredge, and it's all about unveiling the mystery of a woman's soul. I also believe that femininity is something that has been absolutely torn to shreds. Today's culture believes that what a strong woman is pretty much being a man. To be a good woman, you should just live exactly like a man. Go get a full-time job, work in a cubicle, be in the corporate world, and it really seems as if our culture doesn't understand the beauty or the power of godly femininity. So I'm so excited to read Captivating by John and Stasi Eldredge. Now, the third book by John Eldredge that I'll be reading in 2022 is Fathered by God. It's all about learning what your dad could never teach you. I think that it's going to be really good for me to read this. John talks a lot about kind of wounds that we have, things that our earthly fathers couldn't do for us, and how being in your Bible daily and spending time with God can help shape, change, and heal you. So I'm definitely excited to read Fathered by God by John Eldredge. So as I'm going through this list right now, I'm just going right down the pile of faith-related books, and then I'm going to get into apologetics-related books. I definitely think that these books on the topics of apologetics, of defending the Christian faith, are some of the bolder, stronger books in the category. I've definitely read some really weak apologetic books that were kind of just about making Christians feel good and not too stupid about their faith, but they generally don't do a very good job at creating a strong case for belief in God. I think that the books that I've gotten to read in 2022 are going to blow those past books that I've read out of the water. So stay tuned for that. Then at the end of this video, I'm going to be talking about the more politically based books. So to continue in the faith section, I'm going to be reading Confessions by St Augustine of Hippo. I've been told to read Confessions and City of God, which is definitely a meaty book. I've just been hearing a lot of people reference and talk about St. Augustine, and I went ahead and grabbed these two books simply because of how often they're referenced. Now, the next two books in the faith category are written by people who have been referenced over and over again. I keep hearing them in podcasts. I keep hearing about them in books. And the first one is just a collection of classics by G.K. Chesterton. And then I also have another collection by A.W. Tozer. I really don't know much about these two men. I just know that people won't stop talking about them. People refer to their books. They recommend their books to me. And so now I have them. And once I finish them, read them, I'll be able to share my insights with all of you. Now, the last book in the faith category is actually a biography, and it is a fairly thick one. And it is Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Martyr, Prophet, Spy by Eric Metaxas. Now, I do have another book by Eric Metaxas in this collection, so stand by for that. But if you've heard anything about Bonhoeffer, the man who was a pastor, he was just a guy, a man after God's own heart, whatever you want to call him, and he's also known for attempting to assassinate Hitler. So that is not like a very small story in the realm of history. So whenever I hear something like that, like, hey, this guy tried to assassinate Hitler. Also, he was a pastor. He ended up being martyred. Whenever I hear things like that, it really grabs a hold of my attention because I would love to hear more about this man's life and the impact that he had on the world. So those are all the simply just faith-related books, and now we're diving into the subject of apologetics. Apologetic books are books that I can absolutely devour. I can sit down with a cup of coffee and burn through these books like nothing else because learning about science, creation, the universe just intrigues and inspires me like nothing else. And so the first book in the realm of apologetics is I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Norman L. Geisler and Frank Turek. Now, Frank Turek is somebody who I see on YouTube all the time. I've already read some of his books, so this was a no-brainer for me to go ahead and grab this book. From what I understand, it's kind of like they're poking holes in the gaps that atheists have in their worldview. And so I'm excited to dive into this book by Norman L. Geisler and Frank Turek. All right, now this next book is by J. Warner Wallace, and it is Person of Interest. This is a very different sort of apologetics book. It's really combating the idea that Christianity, that Jesus Christ really didn't have any worldly impact. I hear this argument come up all the time that Western culture wasn't shaped by Christianity. It isn't shaped by Christian values. They usually attribute it to just science and progression made the world the way that it is. And what J. Warner Wallace's argument is that Jesus and Christianity had a profound impact in the world of art, all throughout history, in the world of science, and he's very illustrative in doing so. And so I'm excited to just kind of go through this timeline, to see all the historical events, to see all the data that shows that Jesus Christ has absolutely had a profound impact, and that we would not be the culture that we are today if it were not for Christ and Christianity. Now, there are two apologetics books, the last two, that I'm most excited for. And it seems so far that they both kind of lie around the same argument. The first one is Return of the God Hypothesis by Stephen C. Meyer. 3 scientific discoveries that reveal the mind behind the universe. And this argument that has been popping up slowly is that the more scientific discoveries that we make about the universe, about the structure of the universe, about the origin of the universe, is that it points more and more to a creator. And that's why I'm guessing that it is Return of the God Hypothesis after atheism has triumphed for so long. The idea that there is no God. And so I'm very excited to read this book. It is a hefty read, but that is exactly the kind of apologetics book that I love. Now, the last apologetics book on this list that I've already started reading is Atheism Dead by Eric Metaxas, the same author that wrote the biography Bonhoeffer. Now in the 60s, Time magazine had a cover page that had the question, is God dead? Now Eric Metaxas is putting the ball right back in their court asking, is atheism dead? And I love the way that he writes this book because yes, he has the data. He has the meaty parts that really go in depth explaining why the evidence points to a creator, but he also has everything in a historical timeline. He shows you a series of events and shows you how certain scientific discoveries have been swept under the rug and hidden, and it shows you sort of the corruptive nature that people have had in attempting to maintain their points of view. He goes into the fine-tuning model. He talks about the prominent atheists of the day and tries to shut down their arguments. He also goes in depth about new archaeological discoveries that point to the truth of the Bible. So that's Is Atheism Dead by Eric Metaxas. All right, so I went through our only fiction book, I went through all the faith-based books, all the apologetic books, and now it's time to get into the political realm of things. So I have done books on politics in the past. Politics absolutely interest me, but it's not my most fiery passion. I still enjoy the read, I enjoy having those discussions, and so I only have 3 books in the realm of politics, the first one being Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell. So Thomas Sowell is also an author that keeps coming up over and over and over again. From what I know, he's a famous economist. He seems like a really smart guy, really great with numbers. And what he's doing in this book is talking about misconceptions in the common narrative that we have about the history of America, about different ethnicities and cultures. And he talks about the things that we did to help minorities. And he talks about how it was actually in the long run and overall destroying minorities. And this was a book that was recommended by Undaunted Life, a man's podcast, which I really enjoy listening to. It's a great dude, a great podcast. I definitely recommend that you check it out. I'm going to put some kind of link down in the description below. So if you've never listened to Undaunted Life, a man's podcast, and you're looking for a great podcast, I highly recommend that. But that is Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell. Now, this book was actually recommended by one of you guys. I'm so glad that you guys are giving me input. I love when you guys comment on my posts. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like and what books that you want to see. Now, I actually did have this book on my radar before it was mentioned, and so it made it so much easier for me to just go ahead and grab it. But that book is American Marxism by Mark L. Levin or something like that. So I'm just going to read the brief description on the back. American Marxism has made great progress toward instituting its goals over the last several years. If it is to be defeated, as it must, albeit a daunting and complex mission, its existence must first be acknowledged and labeled for what it is. So pretty much it's just talking about the rise of Marxism in America, something that's completely being, like I've said about other things, swept under the rug to be cliche. If you're watching the media, they pretty much act like it doesn't exist. That's not what's happening whatsoever. But thankfully, Mark R. Levin is spotlighting Marxism in America, and American Marxism is pretty much highlighting it, putting it under the spotlight, showing, yes, Marxism is here in America, and it's also showing that it's quite necessary for us to put it in a casket and bury it 6 feet under. So that is American Marxism by Mark R. Levin. And then the very last book on this list, it's political, it's faith-based. I put it in the politics category because it has it in the title. That is Jesus Politics by Phil Robertson. I also heard Undaunted Life, a man's podcast, talk about this book. He did an interview with Phil Robertson. Just listening to this guy, whether you're watching Duck Dynasty or watching him on YouTube, he definitely is a man of very few words, but his words are strong and impactful. I've yet to read anything by Phil Robertson. It is definitely a brief read, but that does not make it any less exciting. So there you have it. That is Jesus Politics by Phil Robertson, How to Win Back the Soul of America. So last year in 2021, I read over 30 books. I did a YouTube video for maybe 20 of them. This year, in this collection, I only have 19 books. This collection will grow. My goal is to read over 40 books. I personally believe that it is our personal responsibility to be constantly renewing our minds, to be constantly learning more. Whenever people say, oh, I don't read books, I don't need to do that. I watch YouTube videos, blah, blah, blah. I strongly believe that books are an important part of character development, personal development. Even if you're reading fiction, if you're reading history, if you're reading a biography, there's something to be learned from reading words written down by somebody else, as long as it's a quality book. Some books aren't worth reading, albeit. And so here we have 19 books. The collection's only going to grow, and I'm so excited to start making these reviews and putting out those videos. But what I ask of you is down in the comments below, let me know what books you're most excited about. Where should I get started? I'll tell you what, I've already read some of these books. I'm already ready to start doing videos on them, so that's already going to happen. But if there's a specific book that you're most excited for, don't be shy. Put it down in the comments below and keep in touch. Let me know what you're thinking. Do you think that this is an exciting list of books? Do you think I need more of a specific category, less of a specific category? Chances are I'm not going to shrink my apologetics and faith. I'm just going to keep reading those. But if there's a specific book you want to see added to this list, let me know. I'm always happy to hear from the viewer, and I'm always happy, as you can see, to actually get a book that was suggested by a reviewer, read it, and do a review of it. Reading books is not all that I do. I have a ton of goals, and I'm just working to sharpen my skills to get better at creating new content. As you can see, I have a brand new backdrop. I have brand new books. I have a brand new blog. I'm just trying to grow and develop this community here, and I can't do that without all of your help. So like this video, subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned for more. If there's something that you want to see more of, let me know. If there's something you want to see less of, let me know. So I hope that this list has really gotten you excited. I hope that there's at least one book in this list that I've inspired you to go out and get. Now, all of these books, there's going to be links to each and every single one of them down in the description below. So I highly encourage you, go down in the description, pick a book and start your 2022 off strong. With all these new books that I'm reading, new reviews are sure to come. But until then, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastical, wonderful day. Have a great day, guys.